Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon session on the main stage brought to you by Explore. Thank you for joining us. Before we kick off into today's session, it might make sense to introduce us all a little bit. So I'm your host for the next 50 minutes or so. I'm Mel Spooner. If we want to go down the panel, guys, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit with a bit of a 60-second intro about 60 seconds, go. Your life story.
I'll give you 10 seconds. I'm Dana Gillen. I'm the General Manager at 315 Health Club in Lancaster. And we are quite a large health club, so 3 pools, 4 studios, an external studio, and about 6,500 members and about 1,800 children in our swim school. So quite a big independent.
Good 60 seconds. I'm Chloe. I'm Director of Client Success at ProInsight. We are a mystery shopping company, predominantly working in the health and fitness sector. We send in third-party consumers to experience your facilities and feedback on their experience.
I'm Dave Olstead, Commercial Director at Explore Technologies, and we provide gym management software solutions to gyms of all shapes and sizes.
Little mini sales pitch there, that was great. And I'm Mel Spooner. If we've not met before, I've been in the industry for a little bit of time and worked for some brands that you'll be familiar with. Today, I own a health content company and co-host a podcast called Common Knowledge. Right, to kickstart today's sessions, Dave jumped ahead a little bit. Go back one. There we go. Wait for the signal. The name gives it away a little bit today, but today's session is around looking at building habits and business processes and systems to help encourage your members to stay through that initial 90 days. Spoiler alert, we are going to dig into things like member induction and member onboarding. If anybody here has got any particularly burning questions that they've brought to this session with them today that they really would love to be addressed, and it's perhaps one of the reasons that brought you here this afternoon, do you want to maybe shout those out at the front end? And then as we go through today's session, we'll make sure that the panel covers that all together. Any burning questions? Brilliant. Hopefully we'll try and fire some up through the duration of the session. Second quick question, just so that the guys on the panel can tailor their answers and make them as meaningful and useful to you all as possible. Could we just ask for a really quick show of hands? Who in the room is leading in-person inductions in their facility at the moment? Roger that. Who in here is doing digital inductions, if anybody? No digital inductions. And are there any induction types that I might have missed? No, perfect. Okay, Dave, budge on 2 slides, please. Amazing. So, no, I feel like we can be more intriguing. The focus of this session, we're going to dig in some of the data that Explore Technologies have been working on for the last couple of years. So a couple of months ago, the team published the Gym Membership Sales Report, and that report features data that Explore has been collecting for the last decade. And they looked at over 900,000 different first-time direct debit membership sales from across UK and Ireland. As well as looking at sales trends, the research looked at how many of that group went on to cancel or terminate their membership in the first 90 days. And the reasons why those guys cancelled their membership are shown on screen right now behind us. As you can see, the data shows that 10% of membership left within the first 90 days, which is not a huge surprise, let's be honest. And for some of you that might be experiencing something similar, that might give you a little bit of comfort. In the data, as you'll see on screen, members cite different types of reasons for leaving their membership, some of which you guys will be familiar with, and we've got those written down here. So I'm just going to reel off a couple. Some of them left because they relocated. we all know that little chestnut, don't we? I'm pretty sure that we've probably all used that ourselves at some point in our life. Cleanliness is one, which is a bit of a shocker where that is true, but of course that's pretty fixable. And actually, a lot of the reasons why people did cite their reason for leaving is all pretty fixable. So other reasons were cost versus value and the disconnect between reality and what they were sold at point of sale, which is pretty fixable. Members say they didn't have enough time to train, also pretty fixable. Some members switch clubs, also pretty flexible with a bit of time. Most memberships ended, though, because the buggers just cancelled their direct debits, which, again, some of you in here will be fairly familiar with. I'm just going to, before we pass over to the panel initially, I'm just going to talk through some money stats that also came through in the report. So Explore quote that Ursa suggests that gyms make around 400 stalkers leaning in. So shout up if these are inaccurate, yeah? Oh, okay, great. So gyms make, on average, so we're talking on average, £415 a year per member. And on average, it costs about £59 per member to acquire a new member. So if a new member does cancel after 3 months, then that's at least £313 per member that we're all missing out on. And obviously, that quickly adds up. So if the maths is correct, that suggests then that a 5% increase in retention alone can positively impact our business's profits by 25 to 95%. So with that money in mind and some of those fixable reasons that we've just introduced there, what we're going to dig into for the next sort of 35 minutes or so is different initiatives that you can bake into your business at the front end that helps to win hearts and minds for the long run from the get-go. Okay, to the panel. And Dave, I'll pass to you first. What do you think is the single top biggest thing that clubs could be doing in the first 90 days to make a really positive impact on their member experience? / is there anything that often clubs are doing that may be the wrong thing to do that seems to be quite common?
Thank you. A question with a slash as well. That's a first. I sat here this time last year talking about some of the data that we had, and we did touch on inductions briefly. But yet we're still talking about inductions, right? I think in today's age, consumers or future members know about your products and your services before they even click a button to become a member or inquire or pick up the phone, right? So I think we need to start thinking about that first 90 days extended from a -30 through to that 90-day period, and recognise that every single touch point along the way is important, is going to help demonstrate perceived value by that particular member. So the one thing I would suggest is we need to absolutely have a vehicle whereby we can educate, encourage and motivate members. And if we want to still call that an induction, great. If you want to call it a fitness kickstart or whatever you want to call it, it's absolutely fine. But I think we need to extend that experience beyond that one particular touch point. The data that we've got, as we've said, it kind of spans over 10 years. So it obviously includes that one particular touch point. But with the emergence of digital technologies and social media presence that every gym has, I think we need to start thinking about echoing what you do for individuals through every single touch point that you have. The second point, so this could be after the slash probably, it's tailor that experience for that individual. So I remember, again, I won't tell you my age, but back in the day, every single person in the gym I first worked at, as part of their induction, got 10 minutes on a cross trainer, 10 minutes on a treadmill, 10 minutes on a bike, and one of the 6 selectorized pieces of kit for the strength training program. We all know that people join for different reasons. They've got different backgrounds, different habits. They may not even have a fitness habit at that point. So really tailoring and segmenting your new members into a digital communications channel as well as a kind of physical activity pathway within the facility to really personalise that experience. They would be my 2, 1/1.
I think it's all about engagement and how are you... I personally think people leave gyms when they think they won't notice if I leave. If your fitness instructor or any member of your team is welcoming people, saying goodbye as they leave, knowing them by name, that will make that person feel more accountable for going in. Like, I know my class instructor, if I don't go for a few weeks, she texts me. I mean, that's going above and beyond, and you can't expect everyone to do that. But that automatically makes me think, gosh, she's missing me. She's built a relationship with me. I need to go back in. I need to make the effort. And when we conduct mystery shops, we do a lot of member journey mystery shops, and we always ask an NPS question at the end: how likely would you recommend? Because that's going to indicate how loyal that customer is to your brand. And a piece we did recently with Merlin Entertainment, so going out of sector a little bit, looking at Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, etc. Those who received a goodbye when they left the park had an NPS score of 85 compared to those who didn't say goodbye. So it just shows how powerful welcoming someone, wishing them a nice day, will really make them feel part of something that they then won't want to leave.
For me, I think it's all about rapport. If you can build a great rapport with someone right from day one, then you're going to build that level of trust with them. They'll come to you with any feedback, with any questions. The worst thing for a new member is they go around, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know where things are, they get a little bit confused, and automatically the barriers go up. I didn't enjoy that and I don't want to go back. But if you can really build that rapport with that member on that first initial visit, if you put them with an instructor that's similar to them, I mean, at 315, we have a lot of instructors. We have every shape, every size, every age. We have an ex-firefighter who's knocking on 60. We have teenage girls. We have the full mix of instructors out there. And the same with our reception team. We've got different body shapes and different interests. And people like people who are like them. So the more people that you can have in your business that reflect the demographic that are coming into the club, the more people you're going to get that feel comfortable in the club. They build that rapport, they build that trust, and then you can put them in the area that they need to be. So you'll be perfect for swimming, you'll be perfect in the gym, you'll be a great, you're a lone wolf, you don't necessarily need an induction. You're someone who is going to benefit from having friends, so let's put you in group exercise classes. You're a little bit nervous, no worries, I'll come to that class with you and help you get settled in. And it's all about building that rapport and that, great level of service at day one.
Lovely. So, in summary then, we've got personalisation, familiarisation, building rapport, don't forget the highs and buys, and it pays a lot to remember people's names and clock who's in your classes and in your sessions. Perfect. Dave, next slide, please. Thanks. Okay, so Explore took a look at length of stay data last year. You're livid, aren't you? Are you livid about the clicker? Length of stay data last year. They looked at, this time, 300,000 gym members who'd ended a direct debit membership between January 2017 and April 2023. As you can see from the slide on the screen, the individuals who intended an induction or a welcome session, on average, stayed an extra 4 months than those who didn't. So, Chloe, with that in mind, what should a good induction look like?
These guys are laughing at me because I'm probably the least qualified person to answer this question. So, when we mystery shop the member journey, I think if we take it to the sales journey, I think in the fitness industry, we all do the same thing. We sell a membership a certain way. When it comes to that first member visit, we're doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And we're renaming the induction, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think the word induction sounds a bit scary and daunting. And I think especially for those people who come in who are maybe used to gyms and don't want an induction. But I think on your point, Dina, around building rapport, we should still have some sort of interaction with them. So, and I'm not teaching you to suck eggs when we're talking about tailoring that induction, but is it even just a get-to-know-them session where what do you like doing? Oh, you're interested in high rocks? Well, we do these high rock sessions. And it's just that building that common ground with someone to make them, to again, where you get that engagement, that personalisation. You don't even have to show them the equipment if they know what they're doing. It's just building that relationship so they then again feel part of something and therefore stay longer.
Nice. Dave, when it comes to inductions and onboarding, not everybody has a ton of cash to throw at that, or, you know, a staff of 5 people or more. What is the top things that gym owners may want to look at that's most practical if they have limited resources?
I think it goes to, I mean, it's great that you at 315 have got the ability to be able to give that service to everybody. As you said, not many people do have that. I think there is a business case to build on the profitability of actually investing in that stage of the journey, not only for the decrease in the dropout rate after the first 90 days, but also the length of stay, right? So there's definitely a commercial model to build on the back of investing in that space. However, if you haven't got that time, I think, or the resource to be able to do it, I've referenced it earlier, but creating them digital touch points, so not just a standard email that everybody gets, like the standard induction that everybody got, but really tailored to their preferences, really tailored to the motivations for joining in the first place, the type of exercise that they like to do, and really recommending the products and or the services, or like the social groups, if you have that, to that particular member, to really anchor back to what got them through the door in the first place. We often say the heaviest weight in the gym is the front door, right? Once you get through there, then you start to create that habit and that the visit frequency. I think that's clearly always got to be a metric for retention in terms of how often they are visiting the facility, because inevitably we still are a bricks and mortar facility, right? They come to our facilities to participate in physical activity. But when you recognise that your service is and your touch points are far beyond the 4 walls of your facility, then just think about the value of every single touch point.
Can I just add to that as well? I think your incredible maths equation at the start is surely a big enough business case. But going to an example out of sector, we work with a clothing brand called Jigsaw, and retail are going through sort of the same challenges that we go through in health and fitness, where they had to have skeleton staff, they removed people from fitting rooms, and from sort of measuring their customer journey, realised how many opportunities they were missing to upsell clothing. So we're like, right, let's just trial in a few sites, put a few stores, putting in some people on fitting rooms to try and recommend, upsell, and then you're building that case again where that additional person pays for themselves, and it works with what the equation you gave as well.
Dina, if somebody took your induction away tomorrow, based on what we sort of suggested here, do you think it would make a big impact on your business?
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be make a huge difference to us.
Why'd you say that?
It really is that initial touch point that gets members comfortable with the club. So if they weren't having an induction, they're not necessarily finding out what facilities we have that reflect their needs. They won't have that one-to-one time with someone that's like them, that they get to know, that familiar face in the club that they can go to if they have any issues or any questions. We're quite a big club as well, so I think if you're in there, I mean, I toured members for years when we first opened. I worked in membership sales, and the amount of people that I would do a tour for, I knew I'd shown them absolutely everything. I know exactly how I do my tours. And 12 months later, they go, I've heard you've got squash courts. Is that true? Yeah, I didn't know, but you did. I showed you them when I toured you. And so in a club as big as ours, I think it'd be a big mistake. People just wouldn't know what you've got to offer, how you can help them, how you can look after them. And I think goal setting in that initial first few weeks is so important. And without that, we don't do an induction, so to speak. It's more a consultation. It's getting to know you. It's offering you a scan if you want one. It can just be goal setting if you want one. It can just be showing you the additional facilities that you aren't paying for in your membership, but you could add on to your membership. So that it's really an introduction to the club rather than an old style induction.
But it's not a blueprint. It's not the exact same every time you do it. No.
No, I mean, there's things that are the same. So every member's offered a similar kind of journey, but it's bespoke to them. So if you sit down with someone and straight off, you know that the last thing they want to do is go and stand there and, you know, get half naked and have a scan, then you're not going to put someone in that position on their first day and terrify them. So by getting to know someone and finding out what their likes and the dislikes are, what their goals are, what their interests are, then you can really tailor that induction process based on them.
Dave, if creating an induction process like Dina does not necessarily come naturally to the people in this room, or if you're in this room and you're already doing an induction but you fancy doing a bit of an audit of how yours stacks up versus maybe what inverted commas gold standard might look like, is there such a thing as a checklist that people could reference to go, yep, as a bit of a benchmark?
I suppose that'll differ slightly depending on the type of facility. Off the top of my head, obviously visit frequency, as I said earlier on, is a good indicator to kind of their engagement with you, with your brand, etc. But I think to look outside of that one metric, albeit a key metric, would give you the ability to have a more holistic view because you're measuring everybody on that one key thing. So things like app engagement usage. So how often are they engaging with your brand outside of the facility within your app, for instance? That would be a good one. I think as like Chloe mentioned, the upsell piece. So what other products and services within your facility are they choosing to purchase or book, or whatever your model might be? Ultimately, like, as I said earlier on, that we are a bricks and mortar facility, but our brand extends far further than that. So how are they engaging with that content?
Before that, though, when they're mapping it out, the induction journey itself, are there any resources or sort of blueprints, to use that word again, that you guys could recommend that people in here can check out to know how to put pen to paper?
Yeah, so we do that with all of our partners when we start a journey. We have a look at what their member experience wants, what they want that to look like and feel like, and as I referenced already, the segmentation of your members based on goals, based on preferences is really key. And then we build that journey for them. And I think the record within one of our customers is 240 different membership journeys that they've pre-created and automated, because that's the key. And as we said about the investment at this point in time, it's definitely worth spending that time, because that is the investment. Digital solutions will do that for you once it's set up, but invest in that time, segment your members based on the demographic, and then make sure you portion people correctly based on what they've got them through the door. So automate it.
Going back to the slide, an additional 4 months is obviously a win, but arguably we ought to be being a lot more aspirational than just getting people to stay with us for an extra 4 months. So to the panel, have you guys got any suggestions or stories and examples that you can share of people that have been able to extend that much further, and why?
Yeah, on the spot. Do you need to go, Sophie?
So the examples of people who are doing things to extend that even further. I think once they're through that 90-day period, obviously they could be in in my previous example, 240 different membership journeys. So really keeping a view on their engagement and having kind of a retention score for that particular member, so like at-risk scores, for instance, and being able to then, when you know somebody's at risk, do something about it. As I said, one of the key metrics is visit frequency. So as soon as that drops off, then you know you need to get into it. The last year's report that we released was around attrition, and we know there's an initial 4 months from doing an induction in that first 90-day cohort, but we also know that there's a key differential between their membership end date and their last visit date, and it's about 5 months. So there's a window of 5 months when people stop using your facility until they actually physically cancel that membership. So having an oversight of all your new members coming through, but obviously the back book of members that you've got, and doing something about it is really key. And again, invest time in that journey, automate it where possible, and have the people, if you've got the people on site, to be able to go that extra mile and give them that call or invite them in, whatever you want to do. But I think looking at that data is really key.
Yeah, so we have what we call a non-user journey. So if people haven't been in the club for 15 days or more, chances are they're probably just on holiday, but they'll get a phone call from us after 15 days, and we'll just have a little check-in with them. We don't say, oh, we notice haven't been in for a couple of weeks. It's more of a friendly call, just checking in. How are you finding your membership? Is there anything that you want to feed back to us? Is there any classes you need booking into? And it's done more as a friendly thing rather than years ago we used to do it as an actual non-user call and say, oh, we see you haven't been in for a few weeks, is anything wrong? And that'd just straight up get people's back up. I'm paying my membership, why do you care? What's it to you? And just making people feel guilty, whereas by doing it more as a, hey, we're just checking in, how's things going? People would very often just come to us and say, actually, I haven't been in for a couple of weeks. Can you book me into Body Pump next week? That kind of thing. So it's a friendlier way of doing it. By week 3, if they haven't been in, then they'll get a text message and they'll get an email. And we have like a 12-week process then where we'll follow people. They'll get 3 phone calls in that time, a few text messages, a few emails just to G them along. The other way of doing it is also by encouraging them to sign up their friends. If they're referring all their friends and the friends are all members of the club, the chances are they're not going to become non-users as well. So if someone hasn't been in for a while, we might ring them and say, oh, do you want a free guest pass? Or do you want to try this boutique class that's not currently in your membership, but we'll give you that? Or do you want another consultation or a free PT session? Anything that can get people back into the club.
Nice. There's a few noteworthy little timestamps there that hopefully you guys have been able to note down if you think they would be useful. So, Dave, can you do the clicker? Thank you. So, on this slide, guys, there's a QR code that's worth a mention. If you scan that, you will download... Is it both the reports that you sent me? Yeah. So, I've read the reports that is linked to the QR code, and they're both mega robust. There's loads of stuff in there, and when it comes to things like the little checklists and audit lists and how to get started and copy to use in emails, like, they're absolutely massive, and they're totally free, aren't they? So if you think they'd be useful, grab that QR code before you go. And to round up this session, we're going to get into a bit more of the meat of making sure that individuals show up for planned inductions, because we've already established that in-person, members who attend an in-person induction stay for longer. We've established that there's a payoff for that, so maybe we should invest in that. But how realistic is it that even if we plan for it, members actually turn up for those? So Dina, to you first, how do you encourage members to attend their induction?
Well, first off, our team are bonused on it. So we're aware there's a lot of lone wolves out there, and there's going to be some people that have been members before, they're only interested in swimming, or they're only interested in free weights, they know what they're doing and they're not ever going to want to attend an induction. But we target our team on 65% of new members attending an induction, and if they hit that, then they get an extra percentage of their salary on top. So it's amazing how many people used to go, oh, yeah, no, they just didn't want an induction. They didn't want an induction. They didn't want an induction. You give the reception team, the sales team, a bonus from hitting that target. All of a sudden, everyone wants an induction. And you'll see a week or two before the end of the quarter that they're working up towards. And you go, right, OK, well, you're only on 50%. This is how many members you need to sign up for an induction in the next few weeks. They're on the phone, and they're all chipping in and getting people booked in for inductions.
Mega. We touched on a little bit as well today that in-person inductions aren't always massively practical, and Dave and Chloe have both hinted a bit around using digital means to still personalise the process for people. Dave or Chloe, how easy would it be for a gym who's not running any induction at the minute, or maybe running in person, to switch to digital? Is it easy? Is it practical? Is it as effective?
I don't think it's easy. I think you need to test it a lot. I think we're sometimes a bit disconnected from our digital journey to our in-club journey. And you need to make sure the two tie in nicely and it's seamless. I think the only way to do that is to go through that experience as you were a member yourself, and making sure that, you know, every touch point you get on from a digital aspect is the same as it should be in club, and they're not broken elements. So I think it's probably easy to do, to implement, but you've got to test it and make sure it's robust.
Yeah, what Chloe said. But I also think there's a halfway house, right? So in-person inductions, we've referenced it a few times today, is kind of the one-to-one time, but there's nothing stopping us completely revamping what that looks like as a bit of a move towards having that seamless digital and in-person experience. So things like group sessions or even having a class as part of that induction, right? So that booking, as I said before, getting through the door is the heaviest thing. So whatever gets them through that door, as long as you engage with them on a personal level, say hello, use the name, say bye when they leave, all the previous points that's been referenced, it doesn't have to be that single sit down with that one person that classes as inducting them into the club. So I think just to be a little bit more flexible on what constitutes what we've previously called induction, but making sure that you're managing and tracking that journey for them individuals, so you can stay with them for the duration.
I really like that, because I feel like one of the reasons that people can't be asked to do inductions is because a lot of people will say that they struggle to get to the gym as it is. So they don't want to come to the gym for an hour or whatever just to sit there and actually, in their head, not burn any calories. So if you can dress it up as it's also a workout session and it's a group situation where they might, you know, mingle with people, but you're also going to tell them useful stuff at the same time, I think that's a really smart idea. I love that. In what ways, last question for the panel, in what ways, when we're thinking about all the other aspects of customer experience, we were chatting about this a little bit before today, there's a number of services that, I feel like this is going to come out really wrong, but there's a number of services that I pay for regularly, but I do not hear from that service provider between my appointments. I get no, I can't look at Storgen. I get no email communications. They don't call me on the phone. I don't get automated texts, but I go to those appointments because the service is great. I value what they do. I have a great experience every time, etc., etc. So my loyalty comes from the experience I have in that hour. How can we start with brand loyalty at the induction stage, Dave? I'm talking dentistry, etc.
Okay. I wasn't going to dig into that any further, but if you're using dentistry as the example, it's arguably a necessity, right? So you need that appointment, and they are hard to get, so you're going to keep that appointment. I think our services are very, very different, right? So I think it's really important. If you look at other adjacent industries like Amazon, for instance, you never ever deal with the retailer who you've bought that product, but your experience is with the Amazon journey and the ease of that. And I think your point is relevant, but arguably different for this sector, because it's not a necessity. We would all say in this room that it is, but the reality, people's perception is that it's not. They don't need a gym membership, and they don't have to go at that time, or they'll not be able to go again, because our services are wildly different. So my answer, obviously from an Explore perspective, but in general it would be, I want them to engage with me outside to demonstrate that monthly recurring fee, which is different from, again, dentist appointment. But that monthly recurring fee, eyebrows, yeah, again, not a necessity unless you look at me, but yeah, so I think it's really important that we do recognise that they are paying on a recurring basis for a service that they may not be using. I suppose that's the key point. So extending that, demonstrating your brand value propositions, what you stand for, reaffirming why they joined in the first place, having that digital touch point is really important, but elevating that experience when they're in the club is what's going to create that value. So making sure that they perceive the value more than it actually costs will help you create that loyalty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Dave's just said. I also think connecting the dots between that sales sign-up piece and then actually that gym induction or whatever you want to call it, I think it's ensuring that every department within the club is talking to one another and we're all offering the same services. And it used to scare me when I would sell the dream and then see the one instructor that was available for an induction and think, oh God, please don't let me down, because I've just given this person, I've told them they're going to have the best experience ever, and I know this guy's not great at giving induction. So it's connecting those dots as well with use of products as well. So if you're using body tracks, etc., at the induction stage, is that talked about when you're signing up? You're setting expectations, everyone's on board with it, and you're measuring it to ensure that it is seamless at every point of that journey.
Dina, do you value things like reviews or intermittent check-ins as much as you do inductions?
Probably not as much as the inductions, but they are there, they're on offer to everyone, and they're definitely something that we use when we can see somebody starting to slip.
But the staff aren't bonused for those ones, no?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, open up to the floor. Has anybody got any questions for any members of the panel? And Rob's running. Are you running because you're going to take the mic round? Oh.
Somebody must have a hand in the air for a question. We just ran over here. There we go. Thank you. Hi. How critical do the panel see personalised health screening and health assessments as part of the induction process? And are there any sort of solutions or emerging solutions that you're particularly excited by?
I guess I'm answering this one then. I think that's totally dependent on the type of facility that you are. So we're quite blessed now because a gym is not just a gym anymore. You've got like the boutique offering. You've got one of our club partners is like a rehabilitation centre with a facility. So in that particular environment, absolutely, health screening is going to be important. But to Dina's point, like a lot of people have joined their gym because they've changed from their previous gym for whatever reason. It might be the cleanliness reason that they didn't like and they've moved. So I wouldn't necessarily say that health screening for a traditional gym is massively important. Again, there's a huge caveat on that because it depends on the model. And if that member wanted that as a service, then clearly that would be an induction path that they would go down. I think we're far from the days now where, and I did it a couple of weeks ago. My 14-year-old daughter wanted to join a gym, and I finally got through to reception because I had to ring to book this induction. Finally got through, and they wouldn't let her through the door until she'd sat down with a gym instructor, not in the gym, just sat down with a gym instructor and had a chat. Now, arguably she's 14, so that's a positive thing, but that's their model for anybody going through, and I think we're creating barriers for people engaging with our services for having a arguably archaic mindset when it comes to what people are doing, because that same person could get on a similar treadmill delivered by Peloton at home without any health screening, or they could join, don't know if anyone's any from there, but Pure Gym, for instance, without speaking to anybody ever and go into that facility. So there's an argument there's a commercial versus ethical kind of challenge there, but the real simple answer is know your model, know what your services you're offering and what your target market is, and then build that induction. I've said it too many times today, on that basis, but I don't think it's a necessity to have health screening.
I think it comes back to that tailoring that gym induction. So I think having a variety of products or offerings for individuals, understanding exactly what might be the right solution for that person in front of you and providing them with that. I think I've seen it where we're mystery shopping a gym induction and they're cramming in too much, where they're going down the health screening route, they're going down the try this, these weigh-in scales, try this, and it becomes too much and it's just overwhelming. So I think it's trying to find a specific offering for that person and their individual needs.
For us, we've had variety of different health screening machines over the years, and we've just had a new one in the last couple of months. How we've found it is we probably get a 50-50 split of members that are interested in it and members that are absolutely not a chance, no, I don't want to know. You get I want to get fit first before I find out how fit I am, that kind of thing. But what we have found, it's really useful when we go out to the corporate market and offer wellness days and things to their teams. So it's been actually really useful as a way of getting us more prospects to go out to the corporate market and say, we've got this equipment, we can screen your team, we can go for it, and then we can come back to you and say, 50% of your team are struggling with back problems, 20% have got stress, 10% have got this, they're obese, this, that, and the other, without giving anyone's personal details away, but we can give an idea to corporate members, this is the issues that you've got in your company, and then that's a great way then of us then getting those prospects from the corporate market.
Any more questions? There, Dave.
Hi, thanks very much. Dina, you spoke right at the beginning about, and I think your club is a fantastic club and you have such a huge range of people, young, old, and all the rest of it. And Chloe, just a minute ago, spoke about that sales journey and then you're handing it over to a fitness instructor to deliver this induction more in hope than that they're going to do it. And David, all the statistics, and you were at David Lloyd, so you know. I wonder from each of you, two operators who have been operators and somebody who's seen a lot of clubs, what is the one person who's delivering an induction must have in their character, their characteristic, and the basis of their training? Without debate, has to happen.
To me, it's empathy. I think if you can read a person, empathise with a person, then you're going to build that rapport and trust. And if you haven't got that, it doesn't matter what education you've got, what qualifications you've got. If you can't build that rapport and trust with someone, if you can't empathise with someone, if they feel they're being judged, then it's a complete waste of time.
I was going to say they need to be able to be a good listener. I think sometimes, I remember when I used to give tours of my local centre, and sometimes they're just offloading to you and I've not said a single thing, but at the end of it, they're like, thank you so much, you've been so helpful today. And you think, well, I haven't really done anything, but great. So yeah, I'd say you need to be able to listen.
And I would say a very similar thing, but leave your ego at the door. Anybody with an ego in our industry doing that service for their members is going to be a detriment to what we're trying to achieve. I remember when, from the David Lloyd days, I recruited a couple of PTs back in the day, and their CVs were phenomenal, pages on pages on pages of courses and this and that they could do. Put them on the gym floor, they couldn't speak to members and was really struggling. And I think the best people are the people who just connect on a human level, really empathise, understand, just build that rapport. I think it's really important. One to highlight, though, after all of these, all of the answers, they're all what we would class as soft skills, right? And I think that's really screaming out to me on this panel, that we can look to, yes, we have to have the Chartered Institute, we have to have quality assurance within our facilities, but people are buying people, and they're buying that relationship, and we've got to keep that in mind when we're building a team.